It's my collection. These are my 3 boxes. I just got the 3rd box because my vinyls weren't fitting in 2 boxes. So a 3rd box was necessary, and I hope sometime soon in this year I'll be able to fill up this box and maybe get a 4th box. But until then, since I don't have enough money to spend, I'll enjoy what I got here. I got the... I never know if I should feel embarrassed that I love ABBA or not, but I don't give a shit because ABBA's fucking amazing. Curious, as a kid, I stumbled upon them, saw the record player, and was like, "What's this?" And my dad was like, "Oh, check these out. These are vinyls." And I remember my dad doesn't have the greatest collection. He had a bunch of disco compilations, so he put it on, and we were dancing to Donna Summers and all those big disco hits, and it was a lot of fun. And he cranked the music really loud, which was great because my mom hates that, and she wasn't there at the moment.
When I was 17, my dad used to get a lot of vinyl. I used to see him listen to a lot of records. He is a vinyl collector himself as well. And I used to just be fascinated about the fact him having all these large discs. I never knew what it was, I just knew they were old and vintage, and I used to take a look at them. I used to see all those records from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, all the way to early, late 90s stuff.
But then there was this long period of time I kind of forgot about vinyls, and I was doing everyone else, downloading music illegally, and just listening to MP3s and stuff on my iPod. And one day, I was walking up Saint Denis Street in Montreal with an ex at the time, and I remember walking by the store, and it caught my eye because it was a vinyl store, and it suddenly just clicked in my head. I'm like, whoa, what? They have vinyl stores? I didn't know that vinyl stores existed. I was about 18, 19 at the time. And I was just we should check it out.
When I first bought my own vinyls, I was 17, 18, somewhere there. Yeah. That's when I started recording, and it's just one after the other, and I never stopped really. Because I was thinking what to get, and I just went to the store and was like, oh my god, they have everything. And my budget was I spent $100 on it. And I literally spent probably $85, and I left $15 to get something after that. Yeah.
And I walked in, and it was really cool. I was like, whoa, look at this place. And they had vinyls of all these different bands, and I got really excited because I'd never been in a vinyl store, didn't even know they still existed. And I was going through. And at the time, my favorite band, which is still my favorite band, was Devo. So that's what I was looking for. I was like, do they have Devo records?
When I first started buying them, I started buying my personal favorite records, right? The ones we used to buy in cassette tapes and CDs. Because I was really fascinated when I bought the Slim Shady LP on vinyl, because that was my first hip hop purchase that I ever done ever, And then when I bought it on vinyl, I was just looking at it and looking at the things and stuff. I was like, wow. I had it on cassette, I had it on CD, and now I have it on vinyl. That was one of the first things I got on vinyl as well.
And it came to the point that it wasn't I wasn't looking for specific albums anymore. Now it's just how many albums can I own? I just became a regular collector, just collecting as much as I possibly can, especially with new wave albums. This is a new wave album. I don't know it that well, but whatever, adds to my collection.
Michael Jackson, I have all his solo stuff. I wasn't a fan of Escape, that was his last one after he passed away, and I wasn't a fan of it. But I had every single solo. I was like, you know what? Why not? Even though I wasn't a fan.
And right about now, I think I'm sitting on about 300 albums.
I have about 500, yeah, 400 or 500, yeah, somewhere there.
It's weird because everyone I show my collection to, people my age who don't collect, they're always like, "Wow, that's so cool. And I've gotten people collecting too. You know, I had friends who, because I was buying vinyls, they're like, oh, also, I had a friend. I was collecting vinyls, and because of my passion and love for it, he started collecting vinyls too and bought his own record player. Two friends actually started doing that. My girlfriend, she has a collection of about 200 vinyls too, and is doing it like it's such a weird thing that everyone our age is doing it despite having all this digital media available to them. So I don't know. I really don't know what the appeal is.
Ain't nowhere to run. There ain't nothing here for free. Ain't no
Why vinyl specifically? I found that when I'm in a record store versus just digging for music online, you get introduced to records you wouldn't be introduced to otherwise. Also, you can find stuff that's just like a hidden gem, some things that aren't even available digitally. And also, it's really good to support places in the city that are just about music, you know? It's a community, it's a place where you can meet people. And also, if you're buying new records, I think buying a record is probably the best way to get your money to the artist.
I don't know, just being able to hold it, the large picture, the history behind it, the fact that there's actually a physical vibration happening.
First of all, it's like the highest quality like sound you can get. I don't know, there's a lot of shit that you can just like find on like press that you'll never be able to find like a digital copy of. I like coming to the record shop and actually the physicality of it, right?
When you listen to digital, it's not, you can't really feel it, you know. But when you listen to like a record, it's warmer, it's closer to live music.
It's just sharp and smoother. I don't know the sound, you know. Like when you compare vinyl to digital, it's way better, man. And yeah, I was like, wow.
I don't know, something about owning or the record itself and like holding it in your hands. There's like a smell to it too. It's this feeling to it. And then when you're playing, there's nothing like putting on a record in the background. Like let's say I want to read a book or something, just putting on a record in the background and just having it play, and it just gives off this like warm feeling. And it's so hard to explain because I can't even. It's just something that clicked with me, and I was just like, this is something I just really love. And just having all these vinyls, like it's such a cool thing.
Comeback. It's good. It's positive. There's a lot of people who do this and press a lot of records who for a lot of years were just not making any money because it wasn't really popping. But now I guess around it's like underground culture and stuff, like if you're like you work your way up in terms of technical skills as like someone who plays out, like the end goal for a lot of people is doing like a live set if they produce or doing all vinyl. It's like yeah, it's well respected and it's like it's good.
Well, I don't think it ever went away. Definitely got smaller at some points. When a lot of people talk about vinyl coming back, a lot of it is, you know, like major labels are pressing vinyl again, and people will sell a lot of like, you know, popular records.
It's their music now, like Taylor Swift and, you know, 21 Pilots and all that stuff. That doesn't appeal to anybody over 35. Doesn't like. It's already peaked. Like nobody, everybody knows about it now, so they're buying it.
Right.
Right. At one point, like 5 years ago, it was like, oh my god, I can't believe there's records.
Well, it's been happening for a long time, I guess. I think it kind of comes and goes in waves, but I don't know. Are we really on a high crest right now? It's hard to say. I guess maybe the little turntables that everyone's buying at home. I mean, the first wave in the 90s was more like the DJ thing. Now I think there's another wave of, you know, nostalgia, people coming to age and wanting to get something, you know, from their past. Just trying to be cool like us old guys.
Maybe they want something tangible, something to hold, something they want to collect. Because now, if you listen to the music, you don't know the artist, you don't know anything, history, where they come from, who produced it. you know, who they hang around with, you know, like a group or whatever. So if you have something tangible, there's always a history or producers or whatever, right? So
Honest, a lot of, as like what I was leading off of what I just said, like a lot of people are sheep. They see that if they're a DJ, they're like, oh, I'm using CDJs and stuff. I'm just like, I get it. There's a lot of collectors who collect records and just take it home and listen to it and do their thing. But like majority of the people I know, or a lot of people that come in here, are like trying to play that out. So if they see, oh, I'm a digital DJ, I use whatever software and hardware, and then they see their peers all going and playing records now, and the best people are playing records, like they're most likely going to gravitate more towards that.
Most of it's because I make music as well. So whenever, like I used to sample my music digitally back then. But when I first started buying vinyls, like I was just buying my favorite records, right? But then I started going to the used sections. I was like, oh, that's a cool cover. Let me check that out. Oh, that's a cool snare. That's a cool bass. That's a cool sound. Let me take that and make something out of it. Or even to the point, like, I even bought an acapella one. Believe it or not, great catches in this one. Some sounds and some like tunes, like you can really manipulate and play with, you know.
Okay, so I got this for Christmas this year. Yeah. This is
What is that?
the Weird Al Yankovic squeeze box, shaped like an accordion because that's Weird Al Yankovic's weapon of choice. Open it up. It opens just like an accordion,
Nice.
and inside you got his entire discography, from his first album, Weird Al Yankovic, to his last one, and it even comes with a never before released album called Medium Rarities. So that's a really cool addition to the whole thing, and that's also one of the main reasons I wanted it, because I wanted to get this particular album just for, you know, that sake. And yeah, it's definitely a collector's item. I mean, look at this thing. Like, it's limited edition, and there's limited copies of it, and I'm a proud owner of one of the Weird Al squeeze boxes.
I wouldn't call it a fad. There's like a prominent group that like understand the craft and appreciate it and want it to grow. And I've been doing this for a very long time. I think amongst the young people, it's not a fad, but it's a transition. Anyway.
they had CDs and then they went to MP3s, right? And now they come back to the LPs now, because I think, like I said, the fad, or people see it all the time everywhere, ads everywhere, and also if they are listening, they probably compared the record to MP3s, and they like the records better. Like, because sometimes when we're playing a record, some people might just come in and say, hey, how come this music is sounding better than what I have in my phone, right? And still, CD don't have that kick or the bass or whatever, right? It's a little higher, they say, right?
Listening wise, well, I also listen to a lot of like digital music. I'm not a vinyl purist or like the biggest collector around, you know. But I think with vinyl, yeah, you definitely have that like warmth and crackle, which is a little different versus, you know, a digital file, which is more clean sounding. But I mean, things become blurred because now you have a lot of producers as well adding effects to their stuff that's released digitally to make it sound as if you're listening to a vinyl record, you know? They'll have like crackle in there and stuff. But yeah, I don't think, listening to the actual record, especially an old record from when it came out, you know, I think you're hearing it the way that it was meant to be heard. And there's just something nice about having something spinning and, you know, flipping it over. It's nice. It's nice, you know?
It's so easy to just skip. You know, like skip. Like, oh, I'm not liking the song. Oh, I'm bored of the song. Skip. While with vinyl, you don't really... I mean, you could, like, lift the needle and move to another song, but it's such a hassle, and I don't feel like doing that. So, listening to the vinyl, you're kind of forced to sit from beginning to end and listen to the whole album as the artist intended it to be, as they wanted it to be listened to and experienced and heard.
I mean, it's your perspective on the whole thing, right? Like, for me, I have friends who like, they'll see something in Europe and they're like, oh, I listened to the digital shit online and I'm really into it. I'm gonna buy the record now. I get if you're buying it to support the artist, but from my perspective, I don't see a really big point in doing that when you can get the digital copy. For me, getting records is getting shit that I can't get online. I've definitely seen the same DJs play all digital sets and all vinyl sets, and it's been a completely different sound in the way that the vibe changes throughout the party.
I think it'll stand the test of time. Probably. I think everything's comes in waves, right? Because you had vinyl was big, and then it got small, and then it'll get big again. But I think, from what I know, my friends who are digging records I don't think they're just gonna stop and quit. You know, it's just become their way of finding music. But there's a lot of hype and stuff right now. Like vinyl is a bubble in a way. You know, it's the Bitcoin of music.
I'm very impressed with what I have. Like, I'm proud of my collection, really. I'm proud. Some people don't get it like that. It's like, oh, cool, yeah, you have a few records, But I see it as more like that. I see it as history, man. Yeah. Like, every record, like, I can point a record and I can tell you a story about it.
I'm probably never going to stop collecting. I haven't bought records in a while. Since I moved to Toronto, I haven't bought records. But once I start getting money and I'm able to, like, afford regular shopping again, this collection is probably going to continue to grow. Who knows, maybe one day I'll hit the big 1,000 mark, get 1,000 albums. But until then, I'll just keep shopping, just keep going, just keep buying, and keep growing my collection.
I like soundtracks, man. Do you like soundtracks?
I'm not a fan.
No?
Like, I like
some.
the only soundtracks I would get are if the soundtracks are specific to the film.
What do you mean?
Like,
Not just like a...
yeah, not just song. Yeah, it's not like a compilation of
famous songs.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
great.
either like all the tunes on the soundtrack have to be songs written for the movie, like the orchestral, like the actual soundtrack, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think I'm making sense. It's their album Oh No It's Devo. I love the cover. It's such a great cover. They're potatoes.
Do you have a Baraba Jago, right?
Who?
Baraba Jago?
Where'd you see that?
Go one more. More.
Oh, that's Owen Nelson.
There you go.
That's
Baraba
Donovan.
Jago. Yeah, and
Well, I know Donovan.
yeah, Donovan's Baraba Jago.
That's not the only Donovan album I have. I have another one here. It's the greatest hits.
Masters at creating atmospheric synthesizer music. So like Autobahn, it's a 22-minute song. That's so funny.
Sorry, but that guy's really ugly.
Okay.
Those 5 years ago, like when it did happen, like what do you think was the reason for it?
Taylor Swift.